jurisdiction to do this. Silly legislators. I can provoke you to do stupid things against your own interests. Because that's what you are. And I say this, like I said, when that idiot who was back in Kentner, you all's buddy, wanted to have me disciplined by the Accountability and Disclosure Commission or the Attorney General or whoever he thought would discipline me for misusing state resources, for using the typewriter and the paper that I used to put together Kentnergrams and the copying machine to make copies to distribute to you all. And it was thrown out unanimously. Which one of you have had your name used as a campaign stick to hit other people over the head with, saying they voted with you? How many of you have had a governor say he was going to put together a coalition in the legislature to control you? None of you. Which of you have had any national notoriety for anything of substance? I might disagree.
Senator Chambers, you're next in the queue.
Thank you. Now I'm beginning to get into my stride, as it's called. I'm really beginning to have fun now. And I'm going to tell y'all something else. You bring one of those funeral bills here, and you're going to hear me sing the national anthem of those who plant them. The morticians asked me to write a national anthem for them, and I did it. And it's sung to the tune of, "These are a few of my favorite things." Now, if you all are interested enough and petition me with sufficient respect and seriousness, I won't wait until we get one of those cemetery bills, and one is somewhere on the agenda, not yet to become, but it's somewhere in the pipeline. I won't wait till then. I'll go get the lyrics and I will do it for you. It'll be like something you never heard before. I gave a rendition at a national conference I attended, and they printed it in their publication. They had never heard anything like that. They didn't think there could be so many verses about the work that undertakers undertake to undertake. Senator Lowe is sitting there kind of nodding. Now, there's a commercial on television, and it's put on by this mortuary. I think it's clever, about how people ought to pay attention to when they're driving, because you make it to the church on time. Yeah, I'll get you to the church on time in a hearse. You know, it's very clever. Well, now, if a hearse was driving down the road and was in the intersection, and somebody ran the red light and T-boned that hearse, and the body flew out on the street, what would they call it when they put that body back in the hearse? A rehearsal, obviously, right? They rehearsed the body. See, when you got a mind that's active, you think of these things. And when you see commercials, they cause you to think of things other than maybe what they expect you to think of. And now when I say I'm getting into my stride, I'm discussing this particular bill at the level it should be discussed. We had some serious exchanges this morning. All of the sensible things basically have been stated on both sides. So now all I'm doing is taking time. And you know what? There goes Senator Morante, won't leave me alone. He knows that he provokes me. I'm not going to ask him a question, but here's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering when he'll stand on this floor and apologize to that woman for having publicly said she's a liar at a committee hearing, as I would do if I had done something like that. I'm just wondering, if I'm man enough to say something like that, I'd be man enough to admit that what I said was wrong, that this person has family members, that they were insulted when she was insulted, and something is owed. A debt is outstanding and it has not been paid. That's what we have around here. Being white, you can do whatever you want to and get away with it. The editorial writers don't look at it. But I look at it. And I'm not going to let some
1 minute.
things get past me. Did you say time?
1 minute, Senator.
Thank you. In the old days, senators used to make passes at the young pages until I threatened to point out what they were doing on the floor and said at the end of the day we were going to dust all these young pages, females, for fingerprints, and any senator whose fingerprints showed up, I was going to make them known to that senator's spouse. Then they wanted to stop doing some of that. Young people come here and think that they're going to deal with people who are respectful and find out that's not the case. So there'll be a lot of things for me to talk about as I pursue what I'm doing on this bill. Which time was that I spoke, Mr. President, on this one?
This is your second time, Senator.
Thank you.
Time, Senator. And you're next in the queue. This is your third time.
Thank you. Members of the legislature, to come back to this bill, rape is no laughing matter. Senator Kentner thought it was a laughing matter. Others of his ilk thought it was a laughing matter and tried to defend him. Where's the outrage? I made a comment about the Catholic Church walking through this chamber in 7-league boots, mentioning how they did their lobbying. Outrage. Not that same outrage on Kentner. The only reason there was outrage because the public was starting to chime in and be critical. He had defenders on this floor. Some people said, who are we to regulate morality? But they want to do it when it involves other people. What business is it of the government if a woman does not want to carry a pregnancy to term? Would those who say she must carry this pregnancy to term be willing to help support the child? Absolutely not. How does anybody know what's in a woman's mind when she decides to have an abortion? There are all kinds of motivations attributed based on the lowness of the mind of the one trying to project things on her. But believe it or not, I see some things done by people on the floor of this legislature which would be far worse than a woman deciding to have an abortion. The woman is not depriving anybody of food, shelter, medical care, as these senators do when they vote against things that we ought to both vote for. When the governor wants to cut these programs that are designed to help people, why don't you show the same fervor then for the people who are alive and who are being harmed by your leader, by your master, by your governor? You don't see editorials about what the governor has done and what he's saying, because the white media are of, by, and for white people. And they do have lines that they're not going to cross depending on who the person is. Suppose I locked up with a group of black men who, in the minds of white people, are dangerous radicals who advocate violence, even though they've never committed an act of violence. There'd be editorials about it. I shouldn't even be associating with people like that. I was editorialized against when I said I'd be a candidate on the ticket. I think they called themselves the New Alliance Party. And in those days, there was even more hostility toward and hatred of gay and lesbian people. And that was one of the main planks in their party. Senator Chambers has always been in favor of this and that and the other, things that white people might have found not objectionable. But he's doing this now. He's going to hurt his credibility. Credibility with whom? Trying to get credibility with a white newspaper editor?
1 minute.
A white reporter? A television mechanic? I mean, newscaster? Not so. Not only is there power in this legislature that it won't use, there is power in the media, but they're afraid to use it, and they won't use it. And they pick the safe things to deal with. I'm going to keep talking. I want to see one of them editorialize about Senator Morante. I don't even know of any women in government right now that I could call